it is an absolute buzz, a hive of activity on the 17th floor. Not because I'm on doing Drive, but because Suede are in the building, and it's going to be live at the top of the tower a little later. We got Matt and we got Brett. Good to see you, chaps.
Hello.
Oh, lovely to be here.
How you doing?
Well, the expectations for this show are high, and we were talking about this just a week or so ago, Brett, because last time you were in, it was without question the sweatiest and noisiest gig I think I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And you got fond memories of doing
I've got fond memories, but I'm hoping it's going to be sweatier and noisier tonight.
I hope so.
I'm not happy with these levels of, sweat and noise. I need to keep, So
you have to keep building them up.
Yeah,
sweatier and noisier every year.
I'm already deaf from the sound check, so
I'm waiting to see how quickly it takes before we get complaints from other buildings and how low in the building we can get before we get.
You've kind of
we're on the 17th floor,
you've set
right?
us a challenge there, haven't you?
Complaints from other cities, maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be
I
quite
like
good,
getting into trouble, and I especially like getting into trouble when I can blame somebody else.
Can I just name drop a bit? When we did a comeback show at the Royal Albert Hall for Teenage Cancer Trust, and it was hosted by Roger Daltrey, and he came back to us afterwards and said, "That was great, lads. It was a bit bloody noisy, though."
Our sound man was so proud.
There is a guy who knows how to do noisy gigs.
I'm like, wow, if it's noisy for you, nice.
Yeah. I was talking to some friends about you coming in and doing this on the show today, and we were just saying how great, like Suede is such a great name for a band, but it got me thinking about just before you sort of said that's the name, that's the one we're going to go with.
Yeah.
What were the names that you were almost called?
Do you know what? We've never been asked that question before. We haven't actually.
I don't think so. No, we had some
terrible.
Names. I don't think we can say it because I think it would destroy all illusion.
Really
no, they
bad.
were all brilliant. They were brilliant names that we had.
No, I tell you what, we used to be in a band. Used to be in a band called The Perfect, and then we were in a band called Jeff, and we were in a band called
Jeff.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I can't believe we're still talking about that.
Sorry, why are we still talking about it?
No, Perfect is quite a good name.
Perfect's all right. Yeah.
Jeff, not so much.
Yeah. It was a strange time, 80s indie, world.
The other thing I think about when I always think of Suede, and it doesn't matter how many times I play you guys on the radio or how many times we're talking about you, but there was the cool kid at sixth form college, and I can remember him now. His name was Nick Oakley. He was the cool kid at sixth form who was into your music before the rest of us were.
Right.
So I have to thank Nick Oakley for getting me in to Suede. Who was the cool kid at your school? Were you the cool kids, and what was the music you were listening to?
But first of all, we have to say, let's hope Nick Oakley's listening.
Yeah,
he's a big shot. He's a big shot TV sort of exec out in Hollywood
Is he?
now. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a million years.
He's still a cool kid,
Facebook. He is, of course.
Yeah.
We're still
he's
Facebook
an international cool kid now.
He sounds annoyingly cool, but yeah. But go on. What was the question?
I don't know. I mean, actually, we were in a band when Brett first started playing with me. He was playing guitar. And we had a singer who looked a little bit like kind of George Michael, didn't we?
Yeah, Gareth.
Who was very suave, really good singer. And his brother was the guy from the Athena poster, holding the baby.
Not the baby. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was his brother Adam. So yeah, he was the cool.
And his
kid.
sister was the one with the tennis skirt lifting up, scratching her.
Yeah. I mean, it's a family business. Yeah.
So let's talk about the new album, Antidepressants, coming out on Friday, and it's sort of hot on the heels, really, of the last record. Although we were talking about this a week or so ago, this album is actually quite a different album to the album you were thinking of making after Autofiction.
Yes,
correct?
we were kind of trying to write a kind of quite a sort of arty left field record. In fact, it was going to be the soundtrack to a ballet. That was the plan. But then we came to our senses and decided
the world sighed.
Yeah,
with
the
relief.
world breathed a sigh of relief, and we made another rock record again. So yeah,
it was touring Autofiction.
Yeah.
We got such amazing reactions to it, and the crowds were so celebratory and so excited. It was we just wanted to do something that had that power again.
And are you going through quite a prolific phase? Does it feel like the songs are coming quite naturally to you
I
at the
feel
moment?
like this phase is we've been together for like 35 years, and this is one of the most exciting phases that I've ever been in the band. I think
I love that.
It's a really exciting moment. It feels like we're still developing our sound. It feels like we're kind of still evolving, and we're becoming a new band the whole time. It's certainly not. Certainly don't feel like we're repeating ourselves, which is so exciting.
Well, we can't wait to hear what you're going to do. And it's going to be loud. We know that. We heard Soundcheck earlier on. Everybody heard Soundcheck. We're going to play some music from Suede. And don't forget, a little later on Virgin Radio, they will be live from the top of the tower. But this is some Suede on Virgin Radio Drive Time. What is your relationship like then with your early music? Because I guess when you hand those songs over to the fans, they then take ownership of those tracks. Do they still feel like they're your songs all these decades later?
Well, yeah, of course they do. But I think that you have to sort of you write a song and it is sort of owned by other people in a funny sort of way. It becomes sort of public property, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And people have their own interpretations of it and they have their own relationships with it, which is lovely because that's the nature of sort of making art or making music or something like that. It needs an audience and the audiences have their own kind of relationship with it, which is absolutely fine.
And do you recognise the young fellas who were writing those songs? Do you still recognise the chaps that you were back then in those early songs?
I think there's some of they feel quite naive, some of them, you know, kind of overly romantic. But at the same time, it's like when you play those songs live, you do kind of recapture how you were when you first wrote them, you know, when you first started playing them. There's something about them, especially if it's a song that has a relationship with the audience, you know, if it's a trash or something like that. You are kind of taken back to that time because, you know, you're kind of in this together. The thing that I love about those early songs is that people are often coming up to you and saying, you know, kind of like, oh, I had my first kiss to that record.
Yeah.
I got married to, you know, kind of funerals and stuff like that. The idea that something that you've done is kind of out there in people's lives and part of the soundtrack of their lives, it's a lovely thing.
Brett, tell us how you keep the voice sounding as strong, as powerful now as it was back in the day. It's an instrument that you've got to work to keep as healthy and as strong as it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no secrets. I don't have any kind of special, you know, ointment that I gargle with or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, just singing. I sing a lot and I practice and I don't know, I try and get better at my job kind of thing, you know, and I just learn how to use my voice. I think in a more kind of, I don't know, just a different way, you know. You learn which parts of your voice are the powerful parts. I think when you're young as a writer, you don't really know which part of your voice really works. And I'm much more in control of like my baritone now and stuff like that. And I tend to use falsetto in a different way. So falsetto I used in a kind of more melodic way in the past, and now I use it as almost like a sort of like a kind of shriek rather than a melodic thing. It's a different use of falsetto.
What I love about music streaming, and there are a lot of negatives about music streaming, but what I love about music streaming is that kids like my son, who's 17, are just sort of discovering your music now, and to them, they're brand new.
Yeah.
So he's hearing your music for the very first time. It doesn't come with any preconceived sort of notions of the 90s or knowing your backstory. Is that quite exciting that kids today, whether they're hearing it on the radio or hearing it through streaming, are getting your songs like it's just, I mean, all of your back catalogue is out today, right? That's how it feels.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting, yeah.
And especially when we go abroad, there's this incredible thing, you know, you turn up these places and for a lot of these people, all of music lives online.
Yeah.
So there's no difference between us and Jimi Hendrix and Sabrina Carpenter. It's all there.
It's just there, yeah.
And it's the things that move them and make them feel good that they gravitate to. But it does mean that, you know, we can turn up in like Chile or somewhere like that, and suddenly you look out and there's a bunch of 18-year-old kids who know all the words. I mean, that's a fantastic thing to have.
I think it's kind of quite interesting as well because it's completely without cultural context, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of like, you know, so much of music is connected to the time it was released and the kind of like the hype around it or something like that. You know, just the kind of like the energy around the cultural energy around it. And this kind of completely sort of dissociates the cultural element.
Yeah,
it
has
to stand on its own, I suppose.
It has to speak directly to them.
Yeah, so it's a different kind of thing. It's a slightly sort of like dislocated version of the music because music is very, very connected with culture. So it's a different way of appreciating music.
I think the only downside, though, is when I was a kid, I knew the name of every single person who worked on that album. Hugh Padgham and Steve Lillywhite were as famous to me as the artists that they were working with, and I think that's the bit that I kind of miss in music streaming. And
I think and not getting paid.
Yeah.
There's that as well.
I wanted to be in a band, was never in a band, so got to play the songs on the radio. That was as close to rock and roll. Doing this is as close to rock and roll as I get, I'm afraid.
Thank you for doing it for us.
You've been back together for like 15 years, right? And I mean, I think you're probably, as I said, very prolific period. The success of these recent albums has been phenomenal. Is there part of you now that wishes that maybe you hadn't split up for a while, or was that split sort of vital to being who you are now?
Splitting up was the best thing we ever did, I think.
No, genuinely.
Not joking, yeah.
It's only then that you kind of realise how kind of fragile it is, and also how magical it is. I can remember that first gig we did when we came back.
Yeah.
Just being on stage and suddenly going, oh my God, how did I give this up?
Yeah.
But we came back to it with knowing that it's a fragile thing and you have to be good and you have to work at it and you have to connect with people. And I don't think we would have grown up that way if we hadn't had some time away from it,
Well, I think it's a maturity, isn't it? And it's sort of, gratitude. I think second time around, you kind of know, well, actually, I'm going to enjoy this because I don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah, totally.
I think failure is a really important part of success because you have to sort of fail in order to go on and do something. And we failed with the last Suede album before we split up was a failure in every sense, and that kind of that kind of caused us to split up. But it was that failure that made us sort of like it gave us the impetus to want to sort of rewrite history and say, no, we're not that band, we're a different band, we're better than that kind of thing.
I want to talk briefly about the takeover that you've been doing, and you can probably see it out the window from here, down at the South Bank. Tell us a little bit about that, and particularly, I think you're going to be doing a sort of Q&A with, is it Miranda Sawyer, who's you're going to be doing a Q&A about the documentary that came out in 2018, which I watched again recently, and there's so much great archive in that. Are you documenting what you guys are doing now, i.e. could there be a sort of part two further down the line?
Everything is documented now,
of course,
all the time. I mean, that's the thing. Every single thing that we did, this will be on YouTube within about 30 seconds. If it's not live streamed, you know what I mean? You don't need, Simon filmed everything in the early days, especially kind of airports and backstage and things like that.
Thank goodness, though, because, as someone who made a documentary, I made a film for Netflix a few years ago about a rock and roll band who no one shot a thing in the 90s. And trying to find archive from them was a complete pain in the ass. But it seems like Simon shot everything.
Oh, no, he shot absolutely. I mean, he's got hundreds of hours of stuff, and every now and then it's so weird to watch.
Is it? I was going to ask, is it weird looking back at some of that stuff?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of not that keen on looking at most of it because we've got really bad clothes.
That's just the 90s, my friend. That's just the 90s.
But like my sort of shoes don't fit properly, and we were in this sort of successful rock and roll band, but we still hadn't got any money, so we're still buying clothes from Oxfam. You know what I mean?
We were basically at airports with plastic bags, full of our entire touring wardrobe.
Yeah. We didn't really have suitcases.
No.
Until like the mid-90s, did we?
In fact, when did the wheelie bag appear?
That was the late 90s.
Yeah,
we were kind of carrying those ones around like that, weren't we?
We were pre-wheelie bag.
Yeah.
It was a difficult time.
But you have enjoyed curating this special event, this series of events at the South Bank, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, basically, we got sick of getting waiting to get asked to do a meltdown. So we thought we'd do our own.
Do it ourselves.
We've got this idea. We're calling it Down Melt, and it's just a chance to show everything we can do, really. So there's an orchestral gig with the Para Orchestra.
Wow.
We're doing an acoustic gig, which is most of it's off mic, no mics whatsoever, And then 2 big rock shows, and then we did the Claw Ballroom. We played the new album in the round. It's just a chance to kind of like, we're always trying to push ourselves, always trying to do more and do more interesting things, and this is just a chance to kind of collect it in one place.
Final couple of questions. What is your favourite song from the Suede catalogue that you thought was going to be a hit, that should have been a hit, that wasn't a hit? What's the one that got away?
Do you know what? The best ones are always the ones that got away. There's things like the Wild Ones from Dogman Star. That's a superb song, and it kind of like limped into the top 20 kind of thing, you know. So it's never the really big hits that you're that proud of in a funny sort of way. It's
I always think Life is Golden, which is
that's good,
quite a recent one, and it's the one that so many people have it tattooed on them, and so many people, you know, people's children were born to it and stuff like that. And that was never kind of like a hit, but it seems to have resonated with people, which is always really
it's funny though, hits, isn't it? Because when we play it in Asia, they go absolutely crazy for it. So there's different sort of definitions of hits, isn't there? You know?
It's an Asian hit.
And what is the one song from another act or another artist that you wish you'd written?
Oh my God!
I tell you what,
that's a good question.
This morning someone played The Sensual World by Kate Bush, and it came on just as I was waking up, and it was just like, oh my God, this is so beautiful.
Yep.
Why do I even bother?
Yeah, I'll go for Substitute by The Who.
Yeah, bringing us back to Roger Daltrey.
There you go.
There you go.
It's a Roger Daltrey loving.
He knows what he's doing. This is not his first rodeo. Brett and Matt, lovely to see you, and we look forward to a rocking Top of the Tower session a little later on Virgin Radio. Thank you for your time as always.
Cheers. Such a pleasure.
Virgin Radio.